Glad to say 100 children still are tuning into this your Gullah Geechee Gwine home. 100 children not yet, but my sister, what we call the sister of the moon and thing like that. But then we have some other rest of children come from way across the water here. And we day up on Hunting Island, where we believe say the water that bring we up, the water will take we back. So many years ago, children will come here from the same land where we brought up coffee the day you're from the day. So coffee, be glad to come on the day you're with me children.
Thank you.
So now, tell all the children from Gullah Geechee Gwine on, where you there from?
I'm from a country called Ghana, West Africa. And apparently, I'm so emotionally charged and subdued coming here because, unfortunately, Ghana is one of the countries that our great-great-grandfathers, some of them were enslaved, going back to this part of the world. So we have a lot of things to show for it, in terms of castles and forts that we use to more or less hold the slave men and women before they were later on shipped to this side. So for me, this really brings me to South Carolina and learning about what happened to them when they came to this side.
Yes. And it's such a wonderful thing for us to have you here because there's so many of our brothers and sisters that come from Ghana and they come into the U.S. but they go to the big cities and they don't often come here. And it's not until they see a documentary and someone says, well, wait, we think some of your people are in Carolina. And they go, what? I've never been to Carolina. And then when they get here, they say, oh my gosh. They're like you. They say, oh, this is the rest of the story. You know, this is where our people went. And so many Gullah Geechees never have the chance to go to West Africa. So it is always wonderful for us when our people come here. We feel like you're coming home. Just like when we go there, you say welcome home. So we say to you, welcome home. Now I know your name is Coffee. Now, that is a name that many Gullah Geechees would have heard. All the older people would have had that name because it means child born on Friday, right? And so you have a lot of people still with the name Coffee, I'm sure, all over Ghana.
All over Ghana. So far as, especially when you're born in the southern part of Ghana, on a Friday, as a male, you're supposed to be called. As part of it, it's a household name.
Right.
If Friday you are called Kofi. If you are born on Thursday, you'll be called Yao.
Yao. Okay.
If you are born on a Saturday, you'll be called Kwame.
Kwame. Right.
On Sunday, you'll be called Kwisi. And we have all enemies for
every day of the week.
Every day of the week. And that's the thing we normally used in the house.
In the house. Now let's say for instance you had a female born on a Friday. What would she be called?
She would be called Ifya.
Ifya. And what about Saturday?
She would be called Ajwa.
Ajwa. Okay. So see, for many Gullah Geechees, they used to have the same name in practice. So you would have Kofi and so on, and then a lot of them. Exactly. And then over the years, then they start switching, and you'll find like in a lot of enslavement documents, Monday. The person just named Monday because now they start switching to English, the word, but still keeping the tradition.
Tradition going on.
Exactly. And so now, what actually brought you here to the Gullah Geechee Nation? Why did you make this trip all the way from Ghana?
Now, actually my coming here was sponsored by the U.S. State Department. I was actually made to fill in an application and see if I can come and learn about U.S. culture and what goes on.
Right.
So fortunately for me, the U.S. Embassy back in my country, Ghana, I had a very good relation with their cultural affairs officer.
Oh, yes.
She's called Miss Ihab. And she normally comes to our park where I work at Kwame Nkrumah Park, and she was quite impressed with my work. Okay. And she more or less asked me to put in an application, and that's how I came here. But I'm so much glad because I did not select to come to
this
South
region.
Carolina.
Okay.
But maybe by some divine
order,
I find myself here, which really makes me very happy.
Yes.
Because the last time we came and I went to the event center, and I went to the museum, going around, there are so many things I saw, especially with the basketry.
Yes.
That is something that we do in Ghana till today. The
yes.
design, the colors used, and the kind of material used in weaving the basket.
Yes.
It's something that we still do.
Even now.
That's what gave me some connection.
Immediate connection to here.
So I'm quite happy being here.
Oh yes, and we are so happy. Now, what I loved about hearing about the work that you're doing in Ghana is that there is a Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park. Now, many people that we know here have visited Ghana, but no one ever comes and said they went to this park. What year was the park founded, and what is the purpose of the park?
Now, the park was founded on, in fact, it was officially opened to the public on 1st July 1992.
Okay.
To honor the memory and legacies of our first president. In fact, most believe that he's the best. In fact, in 2000, the BBC did a poll on most African leaders, past and present, and it was agreed by those who voted in that we should be given to Kwame Nkrumah. He was voted the African millionaire.
Oh wow.
So he won that award.
Yeah.
Now, Kwame Nkrumah was the first Ghanaian president. Actually, he gave independence. Ghana was the first country to have gained independence in 1957 south of the Sahara. Any black African country, he led it. And he was one of those who believed strongly that our independence should lead the independence to the rest of Africa.
Rest of Africa.
And actually, he played a major role in the independence struggle of most African countries.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, he was our leader, and in 1966, 24th February, his government was unfortunately
overthrown
through a military coup d'etat, which has so many interesting aspects to it. That is to say that he was basically overthrown through Western influence. That is to say that the US CIA had a hand in it. Because at some point, he was seen, or he was thought to be becoming a threat to the West.
Right, to the West.
Because he was one person who was quite objective and talked about issues the way he saw them.
Absolutely.
So he was quite objective
in his viewpoints. Right.
So
and they couldn't direct his viewpoints.
Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's what it was. The time of the Cold War and the time that the U.S. government was in a war with Vietnam.
Yes.
One way or the other. So he left the shores of Ghana. In fact, he was invited by the then Vietnamese president, that is Ho Chi Minh, to more or less come and help mediate. So he left the shores of the country Ghana. He was on transit in China and the coup d'etat happened. So he couldn't come back
to his own home. Right.
He went into exile in a country called Guinea. Then where he stayed until he died in 1972. But because, of course, whilst leader, he had his political opponents.
Right.
So after the coup d'etat, those people more or less had the opportunity of taking over the country or having the chance to rule the country. So attempts were made really to demonize
him.
So, but like years went by and Ghanaians actually had the process or the ability to compare the leaders that came after
him. Right.
I started thinking that, well, basically the park came up because of more of the pressure that was coming from our fellow African countries and other parts of the world, saying that when you look at Kwame Nkrumah's achievement in Africa, he should be honored. Something should be made to honor his memories, because he was one of those who helped from the African Union that we now have on the continent now. So we should do something for him. So the issue came up in the country, and fortunately for us, our then leader, that's J.J. Rawlings, had the courage, and this thing was brought to the public domain. Discussions went on, and later on, the park was built. Yes.
Okay. It's still standing. And so now we know that people can go on the internet and they can see some of the photographs of the park and see more information about Kwame Nkrumah and the park and how this memorial now stands in his honor. And it's such a wonderful thing, because many times you don't, as you said, the then leader had to have still the courage to say, I will put this memorial here, because there are those who still wouldn't agree with the perspective that he should be honored. But as we always say, there's no one who's done anything of any major consequence that doesn't meet with opposition. And so we know that a lot of people, even during the 60s, looked to Ghana and looked to Ghana as a leading force